Hi everybody, this is just a starter video to help you get started with this pre-release material for IGCSE Computer Science May-June 2020. Okay, 0478 syllabus. It looks quite complicated. A shop sells a range of mobile devices, SIM cards and accessories, and this is all the data that we're going to be working with. Write and test a program for this shop. Okay, so task 1, we're going to set up the system. Write a program to use appropriate data structures. I think of arrays when I think of data structures, to store the item code, the description, and the price for each category. Allow a customer to choose a specific phone or tablet. So what we're going to do for this starter is just to cover these two parts of task 1. Also, we need to be aware that your program must include appropriate prompts. We'll talk about that in a moment for entry, and the data must be validated on entry. So we'll kind of look at this as well as we look at the first 2 bullet points in task 1. Now, as you can see in my IDE, I've already set up 4 data structures. One called categories, one called item codes, one called descriptions, and one called prices. Now, as much as possible, I've been honest to the data here. So my categories array has phone, 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 tablet, 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 phone, 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 tablet, 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 etc. So that's the same as this column of data here. Item codes are also the same. I've just used the item codes. For the descriptions, I couldn't be bothered typing all that out or copying and pasting it. So my descriptions at the moment are just very basic. I'll fill that out later. I couldn't be bothered with that just right now. And my prices are not the same. I've just put in some dummy values. But one key point is there are 16 rows of data here. 16. And trust me, all of my arrays have 16 elements. That's very important. All of the arrays have the same length. So for task 1, we've set up the data in appropriate data structures. Now let's move on to the second bullet point. Allow a customer to choose a specific phone or tablet. So this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to display this data for the user to look at. So for I in range 16, because there are 16 elements in each of the arrays, I'm just going to print using our magic F option, the format option, categories I. Whoops, that's data, isn't it? So that needs to go in curly brackets. If we're using the F option, the format option, put any variables into curly brackets. Then I'm going to do a space and a colon. And then I'm going to do some more data. This is going to be item codes, I. Then we'll do a colon. Then we'll have some more data, descriptions, I. And then we'll have a semicolon, a colon. Is that a colon? That's a colon. And prices, I. Oh, that's data, isn't it? So that needs to go into curly brackets if we're using the F option in the print statement. So let's run that and just see if it looks good. Okay, looks a little bit messy. We could maybe tab some of this to line it up nicer. Let's see if we can tab after one of these colons. Instead of a space, let's have tab. Is that it? Or is it the other slash? Let's run that and see what we see. Yes, I think that's it. So it's that one. I'm going to do that after each colon. Let's run that and see if it works. So things are tabbing out a little bit. This one looks a bit weird, tablet. So I've got a bit of formatting to do here. Let me just see if I can figure out some of this. I'll tell you what, I'm going to do a tab before the semicolon as well instead of a space. So we'll do one there, there, and there. And let's run that. So now it's kind of looking like a table. BPCM is a phone. This is the description. I'll fill that out later. And this is the price. So the user can see all of the data. That's the first thing I want to do. Show them the data. Now we can say, ask for a model of phone or tablet. Okay, so we could say, okay, choice. Let's say device choice, just to be really specific, equals input. Please enter the code of a device you want to buy. It's a bit of a strange message, isn't it? But let's just leave it like that. Please enter the code of a device you want to buy. So that's going to be stored in this variable. Now I'm going to do some validation here. Every item code is 4 characters long. So let's just try to attempt a little bit of data validation. I'm going to do a length check. On well, I'm saying item code. Let's call that item code instead then. Maybe that's a bit more meaningful, the item code. And let's do a validation check. So while the length of the item code doesn't equal 4, we're just going to ask them to input it again. Must be 4 characters. Item code is 4 characters. Try again. So let's run that and see if it works. Please enter the code of a device you want to buy. Let's just put in 5 characters. Item code is 4 characters. Try again. Up, up, up. 4. So that works. My validation check works. That's a length check. Now we need to find out if the item code that the user entered is in the data set. So I'm going to do a linear search. For the user's item code. Now, if you're not sure about linear search, it's a classic algorithm in computer science. You might need to go and do some research. But this is how I'm going to do linear search. I'm going to set up a variable called findIndex, and I'm going to assign it a value of -1. And I'll explain that in a moment. I'm now going to loop through the item codes array, and I'm going to say if item codes, that is a capital C, isn't it? Yes, capital C. If item codes I is the same as the user's item code, which is this one. Wow, I didn't do a capital C there. That's not very consistent, is it? That's a bit lazy. But if that's true, I'm going to store the index. Okay, I'm going to grab that index, I, because I can use that. That's very useful. So the for loop will work its magic. Now let's check the value of I. No, not the value of I, the value of findIndex. This thing that we started with a value of -1. We looped through the array. If we found the item code, we updated the value of find index. If we didn't find the item code, find index still has a value of -1. So if find index has a value of -1, we're just going to print item not found. Else, wow, we're probably going to do all of this stuff here. We're going to do all of this. But let's just start with this second bullet point, choosing the specific phone. Print. You chose and then let's do another print statement after that with the F. You chose, and let's grab from this index all of the data from each array. So if the index is 0, that's a phone, BPCM A1099. That's all of the data related to that device. So we've got some data, categories, find index, because that's the variable that stores the result of our linear search. Categories, find index. Should we do the /t thing again? I'll tell you what, let's just copy this. But this time, instead of I, we're actually using the find index. Any more? Is that everything? Oh yeah, prices, find index. So let's test this and see if it works. Okay. So first of all, let's test our length check. Brilliant. Okay. So we gave it 4 characters, but it couldn't find ASDD in the item code array. It doesn't exist. So let's run it again. And this time we'll look for something that is there. We'll look for RPSS. Oh, RPSS. RPSS, there it is. Oh, that's capital, and this is lowercase. Ah, that's a problem, isn't it? How can we fix that? When we ask the user to enter their item code, at this point here, we've got a valid item code. So I'm going to update it. I'm going to say item code equals item code dot upper. And that will change every character in the string to be uppercase. That's what that code is going to do. So change everything to uppercase and then reassign it to be the item code. Okay, so have a think about that. Let's run the program again. Let's do RPSS. You chose phone RPSS C1199. Let's just check that. Phone RPSS C1199. It works. That is some starter code to get you started with this pre-release material.